You are now watching Together. We Rise with the General. Akshita Veda.
Ya Tawalu Kum. Ya Tawalu Kum. Ya Tawalu Kum. Ya Tawalu Kum. Ya Tawalu
Success, abundance, love, freedom, justice, empowerment, power, authority, leadership, poetry. Together we rise. Success, abundance, together we love, rise, freedom, justice, empowerment, power, authority, leadership, poetry. Together we rise. Success, abundance, love, freedom, justice, empowerment, power, authority, leadership, poetry. Together we rise. Success, abundance, love, together we freedom, rise, justice, empowerment, power, authority, leadership, poetry.
You are now watching Together. We Rise with the General. Akshita Veda.
Ya Tawalu Kum. Ya Tawalu Kum. Ya Tawalu Kum. Ya Tawalu Kum. Ya Tawalu
Success, abundance, love, freedom, justice, empowerment, power, authority, leadership, poetry. Together we rise. Success, abundance, together we love, rise, freedom, justice, empowerment, power, authority, leadership, poetry.
Coon.
Together we rise.
Coon.
Success, abundance, love, freedom, justice,
Coon.
empowerment, power, authority, leadership. Can you hear me? I just done said so much. Can you hear me now? So many things are trying to get in the way this night. So you want to know what that lets me know? That lets me know that whatever spirit has for us tonight is for us, right? So welcome. Okay, welcome to Together We Rise with Akshita Veda. Okay, and we're talking about I Decide My Vibe. And I wanted to go into what that means and how I came up with it. So a few days ago, my hair was coming out, and I had to go ahead and cut it off and let it go, right? So, excuse me, I could have allowed that day to take me out of here. I'm depressed and I don't want to go nowhere because I had to cut my hair. But no, it didn't go that way. I had a very good day and I have continued to have good days. And so, in that moment of recognizing myself in a time where I was going through something, um, and was making because I went through the whole day with my locks, and I was like, when I get home, I'm gonna cut them. And so I went through the whole day in the vibes of acceptance, and so I was accepting the change that was happening due to my circumstances and understanding or solar standing why. Okay, so I decide my vibe. I'm not gonna allow anything or anyone to kill the vibe in me. And we've been talking about how we are associated with sound frequency and vibration, how that is who we are. 131. All right. And so I wanted to dive into a little bit of neuroscience, consciousness, and spirituality, and also go into the Vedic philosophy and human development. Okay. So you want to know something? Let me. All right. Checking for sound before we go any further. We checking for sound. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. So I got the heads up. Thank you. Lazarus on the backside here. Let's go. Woo, woo. All right. So, okay. We're talking about how we can choose and decide our own vibe, right? So don't allow things and situations and your circumstances to get in the flow or in the way of your vibe and how you choose to vibe through your experience, right? So, what was it, Kendrick Lamar? Don't kill my vibe. Yeah. So what I was saying is I want to dive into some neuroscience, consciousness, and spirituality in human development from within and the Vedic philosophy, right? And how they intertwine with one another. And so together we rise. All right. So I decide my vibe, and I want to talk about spirituality. Okay, on the computer. Okay, only have the monitor in your headphones. Okay, so I need to. So if I do that, can you hear me? Yes. Okay, so you can still hear me. All right. Okay, so let's go. All right. So, and awareness is one of the levels that we're going to look into, but awareness through neuroscience, consciousness, spirituality, and self mastery, inner awareness, and conscious creation. The interaction between brain functioning and consciousness. So, this week I want to dive a little bit deeper, exploring the science and spirit of consciousness. One thought, one breath, and one vibration at a time. That's why earlier, I don't know if you even heard me, but I entered this space in an Om space. And the vibration of Om is peace. So let's take a journey into how we shape our inner world. I decide my vibe. So let's explore how consciousness interacts with the brain and body. We're going to combine modern neuroscience with the ancient wisdom of the Vedas. And so, exploring how consciousness interacts with the brain and body, and how spiritual practices, sounds, and awareness can rewire our reality from the inside out. Now, before I go any further, I just wanted to say um, the alignment of just across the board is just going crazy right now. Yesterday, Lazarus came on with the Purple Heart Squad, and he opened up or unlocked mysteries that we did not understand in the creation of. And so a part of what we're talking about tonight is conscious creation, is the go like the back and forth, the swing of the pendulum, and coming back into a balance, right? So we'll get into that in just a minute. But I just wanted to say, the ship of operation is Shell Ohm. And I was like, oh my goodness. I had already written all my notes and everything, and was in the mind of Om already. And then I listened to Oracle Mother this morning as she was sharing her knowledge and wisdom and information with the people. She was also in this vibration of Om. And so, it's just nice. It's much deeper than that, but everything is aligning and it's making perfect sense, as we move forward, and it's beautiful to see. And so, okay, so we're going into the greatest or the best version of self is where we should all be aiming. So let's go back here. In the Vedas, I wanted to talk about the Vedas. I wanted to bring this ideology, this knowledge, information, and wisdom of the Vedas and so how I got the name Veda, Akshita Veda, is permanent sacred knowledge. And so at this time, I had no idea about anything Veda, anything Sanskrit, anything dealing with that name at all. And then when I looked it up, I didn't even know how to spell it. And so it took me about a year and a half to do research into it and understand it and to embrace it for who I am. And so the Vedas, in my words, the Vedas are the physical manifestation of the Akashic records, right? And only the chosen was able to touch and hold these doctrines or this information. So nonetheless, the Vedic astrology is also the first of the astrological knowledge and information that branched out. So I'm thinking my slides are too big. But anyway, the Vedas, their foundational spiritual text of Hinduism, revered as ancient revelations of divine knowledge. They explore themes of existence, ritual, and cosmic order through hymn, chants, and philosophical dialogues. Veda means knowledge in Sanskrit. And so in 2007, I went, I designed my own tattoo, and I went and had the tattoo put on me. And it is a pyramid that is separated from top. The top is separated from the base, and in between says knowledge. And I created that in like 2007. And so my own art has been uh, designed on me. And so over the years, I have begun to understand this tattoo and how it has been. It was like I was leaving crumbs for myself to find me. Even back then, before I knew what this journey that I have been on, I have been on my whole life. You know what I'm saying? And so when I got the name Akshita Veda, it just kind of wrapped everything up for me and made it make sense where it wasn't making sense. Like, to be futuristic and not even knowing who you're, discovering yourself along the way, is a scary road to travel. It's not, and it's a lonely road to travel. So nonetheless, right? All right. So the Vedic philosophy is divided into levels and layers, right? Just as the layers of the Messiah Code for consciousness and understanding consciousness itself, right? And I want to tie these thoughts together tonight, right? So Samhita is the core hymns and mantras. The Brahmanas is the ritual commentary. The Aranyekas is the forest text for hermits and meditators. And the Upanishads is the philosophical dialogues on the nature of reality. So the Upanishads are especially influential, exploring concepts like the Brahman, not the purse, but the Brahman as in the universal consciousness, and the Atman is the individual soul. And so they are their own separate entities. So we have our individual soul, and then we have our universal consciousness as we elevate into our higher selves. So, according to the Messiah Code, Master Key, Application 131, Codex 6 and 14 states that consciousness is not a single point, it is a field. It moves through layers. Okay, so consciousness in layers, as in seen in the Messiah Code. So the awareness, memory, intention, and form are the layers of the Vedic philosophy of consciousness and reality, right? And the shell, cell, male, and cow are the layers according to Master Key Application 131 of the Messiah Code, right? And shell is the observer. Cell is the reflection, which we talked about cell last week in more detail. Male is the thoughts, and cow is the will. So the observer and awareness of self, memory and reflection, intentions with your thoughts, because when you think, you have an intentions in your thoughts, and form, having the will to do something, is having the power to speak things by having the will to do it, and it taking form and shape. So the code doesn't ask you to choose between them, it asks you to see how they correspond with one another, synchronize, right? To recognize how they synchronize. So each of the layers explores a different frequency of consciousness. And so everything I told you, we're sound, frequency, and vibration, right? So from pure formless awareness to tangible physical manifestation based on Master Key Application 131, Codex 38 and 2, Chapter 4, which is about the body of manifestation. The second step, because we've been talking about Harukment, which is the first step, which is the right foot. And so it's a step forward, right? And Nasuf is the second, and Nasuf represents the self. I like to say, and I wanted to have a representation of that self, that cell, and the pH, right? Cell, self, right? Because our pH balance says a lot about what's going on the inside of self. It is a reflection of what is going on, right? And so Nasuf represents the self located in the right shin. It governs identity awareness at the ground level. This is where the code of I am stabilizes. Amplified modulation is stabilized. So you don't have to scream who you are. You just be who you are. And that will be amplified through the system. And so without Nasuf, movement has no foundation. This is the consciousness of being, not just doing. Being, not just doing. So the body is the physical shell as well as the generator. It produces signals, impulses, even thought based on learned cycles, what we call habits, right? So these are the scripts, and we'll talk about the scripts here shortly, right? Because it is important to understand the automated programs running beneath our conscious control. And so what we choose matters. So choose with awareness. Your system will default to the last known pattern. And so people say that's backslide and you're sinning. And so the sin of doing wrong, right? Rather than understanding it as outdated software. We need to update our software and our hardware from within. And so I was like, sin, that is a mathematical term. So let's dig a little bit deeper into what that means mathematically, right? And so this describes oscillation. And oscillation is a rhythmic return to equilibrium, like the pendulum swinging, right? So I was like, ooh, this is getting good. Oscillation, what is that? So this connects directly to sound waves, which is frequency and amplitude, light waves, which is electromagnetic oscillation, and light waves is a little bit of what Lazarus got into last night. And so brain waves, the neural oscillation, heart rhythms, coherence patterns, and sin in a symbolic or spiritual sense is the mathematical expression of vibration itself. So I was like, okay, so this is really, really getting good because I'm seeing how things are tied into the number system, right? And if you understand the body of manifestation and the upgraded body, if you understand the 0 to the 99 and how each part is developed into the parts of the body, and you understand who you are as part of the body, then it all begins to make sense, right? So let's see. What is oscillation? All right. This is repeated movement or variation back and forth around a central point, the dot, or equilibrium, which is a center point. So it's a rhythm, a continual shift between two extremes like rising and falling, expanding and contracting, and breathing in and breathing out. So our breath is oscillation, right? But I wanted to get into the neural oscillation, the brainwave frequencies. And so this is directly tied into what is in the 131 memorandum, right? So before I go into the brain waves, the oscillation is like a guitar string vibrating or a electrical current alternating directions, and or the brain waves pulsing between states of awareness. Brain waves pulsing between states of awareness. So the neural oscillations are rhythmic patterns of electrical activity in the brain, what we call brain waves. And so they help synchronize perception, thought, and emotion. The brain waves help us to synchronize perception, thought, and emotion, because what we perceive is real to us, right? If I perceive it, then it is real to me. No matter what it really is, if I perceived it in a certain kind of way, then that's exactly what the truth is for me. So your thought and emotion. And so the brain waves frequencies are the delta, theta, alpha, beta, and gamma. And the delta, you see right there, right? Deep sleep generation, unconscious processing. The theta is the deep relaxation, meditation, dream state. The alpha is relaxed awareness, calm focus. Beta is active thinking, problem solving, alertness. And gamma is the peak awareness, insight, unity consciousness. And so the thing is that a lot of people, they only talk about really the alpha and the beta, and not in the sense of brain frequencies, right? Brainwave frequencies. But the alpha is when you're in your alpha state, you are relaxed in your awareness. Like you're not on the high alert, you're not jumpy, you're not scared, you're just aware of what's going on, and you ain't making no big deal out of it, you ain't kicking up no dust. And it's a focus point, right? You're focused on something. But the beta is active thinking, so that's like constantly thinking, not able to quiet your mind, problem solving, because there's always something going on, something for you to pay attention to, because you are in active alertness, right? And so theta is in your dream state, the deep relaxation and meditation. So we can get to theta without being asleep when we learn to quiet our minds and come out of that beta activity. And the delta being the deep sleep and unconscious processing. So these unconscious processing are the what has happened in our experience, or what has happened in our day that has altered or mutated our emotions and our thoughts and perception, right? And so gamma is the unity consciousness. So when people can't seem to understand, I don't see how we're going to unite and this and that, this lets us know that you're not operating in your gamma frequencies, right? So we have to learn how to operate at each layer and each different of frequency in order to truly learn to balance our emotions and our thoughts and perception through neural oscillation. So, what are the brain waves? An oscillation of vibration of awareness, the different levels of consciousness. Okay. So, brainwave activity is electrical activity in the brain. So every thought, emotion, and sensation corresponds to specific wave frequencies measured in hertz, which are cycles per second. And so it's so funny how this information is directly tied to the creation of sound, music, right? Understanding oneself and understanding music at the same time. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to almost become music, you know. And I think that's important to keep music alive within us because music activates these thoughts, emotions, and sensations and how we correspond, you know, based on the wave frequencies. So they show us how fast or how slow our brain is operating. And this directly affects how you feel. So, emotional regulation insight based on the brainwave frequencies. The delta restores the body and nervous system, which is essential for trauma recovery. So, remember last week we talked about the autonomic nervous system and the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, and the fight or flight, freeze, or the rest, digest, and heal. And so the theta is in the parasympathetic, right? And you know how I thought about this too, how they named it the parasympathetic and the sympathetic. Like, you don't want nobody having sympathy for you, because when people have sympathy for you, it's like, you know, it's different than just straight up caring. But anyway, the theta bridges conscious and subconscious. So it aids healing and emotional release. So it's good to release your emotions, even through tears. You know, you're not weak when you cry. You emptying, you allowing the waters to flow. And so the alpha is the optimal for emotional regulation, flow, and creativity. uh, Beta in excess is stress and anxiety, and beta balanced is motivation, focus. Gamma is linked with compassion, high levels, integration, and states of flow, right? So allow yourself to flow. In the Vedic philosophy, this rhythm is called the spanda. It is the heartbeat of the cosmos. To oscillate is to be alive in rhythm, returning, forever returning to your center. So, this is the eternal movement between stillness and expression. This is the dot. So, the dot excuse me, 361 degrees is what we are. That dot is the hidden axis. It's the silent coordinate, the origin point. And so this hidden degree is the observer's degree. It doesn't rotate, it does not move. So it sees the code is to see the code is to awaken from the spin and recognize the still. So basically, when you're operating from your dot, everything in your 360-degree circle is everything that is reflecting from the dot. And so what you don't want there, you have the power and the ability to rewrite the script, right? And so rewriting the script is a set of instructions written in a programming or scripting language that a computer can execute automatically step by step. So our mind, our brain being our computer, we can rewrite the script, right? The scripts are used to automate repetitive tasks, manage data or files, and connect different programs, customize system behaviors. So the scripts are the foundation of automation and intelligence. They let the machine repeat processes with precision, freeing humans for creative and complex thinking. So metaphorically speaking, a script is like a mental code behind behavior. So the things that you do in your behaviors is following the script of your program, right? So just as we can rewrite a computer script to perform better, we can rewrite our mental scripts, changing our habits, patterns, and responses through awareness and intentions. We can rewrite it. We do not have to continue on doing the same things that we have been doing that wasn't working. So we have to allow ourselves to let go of those things that no longer serve us. We have the power to change. So mastery comes from learning to observe, edit, and execute consciously. And this is the in the shell that we can do this. We can see it without attachment from the shell. It watches the code, but it does not become the code. This is the nucleus of consciousness, the anchor of self that cannot be corrupted. So the shell can't be corrupted because it is not attached to anything. You can separate yourself from this body or your shell, right? The male is the thoughts. These thoughts are the voices, ideas, loops, and internal dialogues. Thoughts are generative, so they are generated through your wounds and wanders, right? They don't always belong to you, so you gotta know through wisdom and discernment the difference on whether these are your thoughts or not your thoughts. So how often have you experienced moments where you have a thought about something and you like, why would I think that? And then you realize it's not your thought. And then today I had a revelation, and that revelation was to recognize when that energy isn't mine. So, you can be dealing with people, talking to people, being in the same space and room with people, and then you begin to feel things real heavy, or you begin to say things that you wouldn't normally say. And that's speaking from that energy. And then you like, that wasn't mine. And then someone else claims it, and you be like, oh, well, you know, now I'm trying to figure out the type of energy you in, why I felt what I felt to say what I said. And, you know, so you basically, anytime you're dealing with when you're in a space of awareness within yourself, and you're reading the energy in the environment in which you are, you got to recognize when the energy is not yours, or when the thought is not yours, right? So the cow and cell are the hidden functions, because see, last week, remember, we talked about you normally operating in two functions. And so the cow and cell are the hidden functions. And so cow is the will, which is the form, and this is the program that decides. It allows you to override the pattern. Without will, the system loops. With will, the system evolves. So when you have the willpower to do things, to change, then you can evolve. When you don't have it, you're just going in continual loops. So you have the power to decide through your will, through the function of cow, through the layer of form. The memory is the reflection, the cell. This is the archive that remembers. So we are here to remember who we are. We are here to remember the mission that we came here to accomplish. We are here to remember the assignment, to learn of these things by remembering ourselves, and then to become a member of the body of the Messiah, so we can move as the transformers move. You know what I'm saying? Because we are transformers, we are robots in disguise. And so that's the reflection. And so this is the subconscious mind, and the frequency of vibrational thought. Thoughts vibrational. So I was talking to my cousin, right? And before I had spoke to her, I was already halfway done doing the research and, excuse me, gathering up this information to present. And somehow tonight it seems a little bit dry, because I'm just going straight in to the point, and that's okay, because I'm gonna get this out the way it's supposed to be coming out, and then that's just all to it and how it's gonna be. And I thank y'all for coming tonight, and I thank you for sticking here to hear what I'm saying, and to vibe with me as I decide my vibe. Thank you, Yanis. That's Oracle Mother, right? And so thank you. And so I was talking, I appreciate that, because I'm like, I feel like I'm just going blah, 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 blah. So I hope it's connecting, and I hope that it is making sense. And I appreciate the fact that you are here, and that you see that the information is good, and it is powerful, and it is speaking to you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Because I usually hear the music. I don't hear nothing. I just hear my own thoughts. And I'm like, usually used to the music, because the music be getting me going. But believe it just like it is. Don't do nothing. Okay. Thank you. And so I was talking to my cousin the other day. And so it wasn't until I spoke to her, and she said what she said. She said, don't she said, when you meet people, she said she would get mad when people judge off of their first meeting of someone. And she said, don't ever think that you really truly met someone or met me. You've met my representative. And I was like, that's the shell. Oh, that's good. And so She said, stop judging people based on your initial meeting because this is not who they truly are. Once a person becomes comfortable with you, that's when they open up and show their true nature. And isn't that true? You know what I'm saying? Even when you meet someone, you want people to, know that you're but when your representative, the shell, is presented, and she was like, and when if you get hung up on the representative of me, then you won't never get to the real me because you got hung up on the representative. So that's like the shell, right? When somebody sees you and see what you look like, and they get stuck on the aesthetics of you rather than the inside of the nature of you, right? So, but when they show you who they are, you better believe them. You know what I'm saying? When you meet somebody and you don't, and they don't, greetings, Thea, and they don't, they come out to be whoever they truly are with you. You know what I'm saying? When their true nature comes out, believe them, and stop trying to change people who don't wanna be different. Keep moving forward. We spend so much time trying to pull people through a door they don't fit in. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. So, yeah, we got to leave that alone. Stop trying to force people to be who you want them to be. Just who they're showing you that they are. And okay, so the representative, the observer, the shell, to decide my vibe. The representative is the one who decides the vibe, right? The shell. And so the operator of the shell is Mel, the thought. This is how you process the vibe of your environment, right? The first stage of consciousness is to be aware of our manifested body, this corporeal body. So the cell, the reflection, is the memory to remember the soul before it inhabited the body. This is to reflect the vibe. Cal, the will, is of speaking truth to power with authority to manifest those things that are not as though they are. This is the stage of thought, Mel, taking form. Consciousness outside of the body, this is the process of creation. So conscious creation is to create the vibe. Self-mastery, inner awareness, and conscious creation is to become the vibe. So we got, I decide my vibe, I process the vibe, I reflect the vibe, I create the vibe, and I become the vibe. And so we're shaping our inner world to rewire our reality from the inside out. And so this is what I was explaining to my brother Lazarus about this process of growth and development that I have taken to get here, and how even Oracle Mother, how my schools of thought I've come through started with mental magic, learning with and from Frank Burrell. Then MandelaCon came and brought to me the Matriarch, and he reminded me that I am a daughter of the Matriarch, and I am the chosen daughter of the Matriarch. And he encouraged me to tell people who I am. He said, you better tell them before I tell them who you are. And so going through those schools of thought, I ended up coming into the information of the Messiah Code. And what the Messiah code is to me is upgraded programming from mental magic. Mental magic took me inside of me to see things that I am a part of everything that's outside of me, right? But that's where mental magic had me. But uh, the Messiah code and the upgraded information, the digital information of where we are today is futuristic. So this is the conscious creation. This is the rewiring of our reality from the inside out. This is our thoughts taking shape and taking form from the inside out, right? So bringing ourselves into wholeness and righteousness, to be right, not wrong, to be mathematically correct in sin or sign, not sin of wrongdoing, right? So to be one thought, one breath, and one vibration. Where we at on these slides, yo? Okay, so stages of awakening and development. Hold on. So let me go to the next slide and see where we at. Oh no. Okay, so the point is to be one thought, one breath, and one vibration. We are talking about as a collective whole. So we want to be the change that we want to see in unity in our community, right? To pay more attention to what we have in common, not focus on our differences. And see, that's where a lot of people get hung up at, is paying attention to how we're different, not how we are alike. And so that's that gamma brain frequency that we must be existing in when we want to think in collective wholeness and unity. And so have regard for our children, our progeny. They are our legacy for generations to come. So everything that we're doing should be creating a legacy for our progeny, which is our children. And so it all starts with you first, though, to be a leader of self, maintaining healthy, balanced pH system, clean from the inside out. So what we put in must come out. And what we're putting in is going to determine the functioning of what's going on and what's coming out. So what we put in will come out. The proof is always in the pudding. And together we rise. So I wanted to talk about let me see something here. We're gonna zip zoom. Okay, so I wanted to go into the evolution of human consciousness. So we start with the identification of this corporeal body of manifestation and mind to the direct realization of the infinite self. This is a journey viewed in different ways by different cultural traditions, ideals, and modern psychological frameworks that but they all trace back to the same underlying awakening process. And this is the unfolding of awareness from form to essence and the return to form through conscious creation. And this is what I was trying to this is the point I was trying to come across when I'm saying it's like the pendulum, it goes left and right. It's always going to return and pass the center point to the next extreme, that center center point will always be. But the objective is to bring from the inside what is, to bring to the outside what is inside, to create who you want to be that. And you can create that. So, based on Vedic psychology and modern consciousness studies, this honors both the mystical and practical journey of self-realization, and that's the whole objective: is to have self-realization, self-actualization, to become the best version of you. And so, I wanted to give you my point of view. And so this is based on my experience, study, and research. And that was understanding that I decide my vibe and how I process my vibe, how I reflect the vibe, how I create the vibe, and how I become the vibe. And so it's unfair to talk about human development without mentioning Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So people grow through different levels of needs, from survival to becoming their best version of self. So true development is moving upward through these stages towards self-actualization. In this corporeal body, we are motivated by needs. But when we lack, we stay stagnant. So we must continue to elevate. And when we exist in joy and happiness, connection and inspiration, we can accelerate growth. So our most basic needs is our psychological needs, which is the food, water, sleep, air, those things. If we don't have food, we're not happy. If we don't have, the proper rest that we need, then we're grumpy and we ain't getting close to nobody because we don't want to be close to nobody. We're being mean. So if you don't have your basic philosophical needs taken care of, there's no way you'll be able to get into your safety, because you won't feel safe and you won't feel secure. So in order to feel safe and secure, you must have stability in your work, money, health, home, and protection from harm to feel safe and secure. And if you lack those things, then you're not going to be close or wanting to feel, you're not going to feel love. You're not going to feel like you belong to anyone or anything. So this is the connection. The social needs are the connection with others. This is friendship, family, love, companion, and community. So if you have these things, then you're happy, right? But then what about your esteem needs? You're not gonna feel like you have you're feeling good about yourself or respected if you don't have a active and healthy relationship with friends and family or love companion or your community. If you don't have these things, you're not gonna feel good. You're not gonna feel respected. But if you do have these things and you elevate into your esteem needs, this means that your confidence and valued, achievement and recognition, and you feel useful. So if you don't feel these things, you cannot become the best version of yourself. If you feel useless, then how are you going to become the best version of yourself when you don't even know how to be used? So when you do have your esteem needs, you can go into self-actualization, which is the best version of yourself. And this is where your creativity is, personal growth, fulfill potential, know your purpose, and meaningful involvement in things that are developing you. So, what is your status in development? Are you stuck at the philosophical need. I mean, the physiological needs. Are you stuck there? Have your basic needs not been met to where you do not feel secure? Or are you in your secure state and feel safe? Have you reached your safety needs? Looking at the love and belonging in your social needs. Do you feel that you are loved, that you belong to with and having connections with others? And in your esteem needs, do you feel good about yourself? Do you feel respected by those that are a part of your love and belonging in your social needs? Are you feeling good? Do you feel confident and valued? You know what I'm saying? And have you reached the point of creativity where whatever it is in your mind that you are saying, hey, I want to do this, I want to create this, have you created anything? What is the personal growth from when you started elevating through this pyramid of, or this hierarchy of needs? What is the growth that you have experienced, that you have noted? So this is a good illustration to see where you are on this map. So, like I said earlier, the objective here is to be one thought, one breath, one vibration as a collective whole, to be the change that we want to see. What do you want to see in your own personal growth? What do you want to see? I was listening, at Oracle Mother, and she was referring to her day and how she was excited that she could say that what she had dreamed of and thought of was a reality, and how we could live in our reality, but it does take work, it does take focus, and so I was like, you know what, that does sound so good, and I've seen it in my own experience, you know what I'm saying? Because when we came here to Arizona, my daughters and I, we only had what we could carry on our back, nothing more, nothing more. And we had two cats. So we had each a bag, one bag that we could carry on our back, and cats. And that's what we came here with. And for 2 years after being here, we were in a 2-bedroom place or location, 3 separate locations, all 2 bedrooms. And I was sleeping in the living room to give my daughters privacy, because I just felt like I didn't need the privacy. They needed the privacy as they were growing up and coming into their, adolescent years and things like that. So it's just, and I felt like everything that had got us to the point of where we were only having what we could carry on our backs, like literally losing everything, was because of decisions that I made, choices that I made. So it wasn't their fault. They shouldn't have had to suffer their comfort because of decisions that I had made that got us to where we had gotten to. You understand what I'm saying? So that was my sacrifice. And so now we're in a 3-bedroom, upstairs, downstairs townhome where we have our own individual spaces, and we're outgrowing this space. So we just continue to outgrow the space and outgrow the space. And so as we're outgrowing the space, now my daughter's getting older. My oldest, she's 17 now. So she's doing things, looking for a job and becoming more responsible for herself to alleviate some of the responsibility for me. But nonetheless, when our most basic of needs are met, we can focus on growth motivation, learning, creating, loving, and contributing to others. Like if we ain't had our basic needs met, how are we doing anything for anybody else? Like, and I have to remind myself of that a lot of times, because I want to volunteer and I want to do this and I want to do that. But in all actuality, if I need the help, how can I do for anyone when I need the help? So I had to realize that I'm not in a position now at this point, this stage in my life, to do much except for give time. You know what I'm saying? Give effort. And that's the learning. At the end of September, I was supposed to be starting school because I was going to go ahead and finish my master's degree in social work. But it seemed like everything that, like, just kind of like how this show started tonight, everything that could have come against all of the production and the output of this was interrupted by something, and that's okay. Interruptions are fine. You know what I'm saying? Because an interruption can be divine. We just got to know what, by through discernment and the wisdom, right? So if you're not uh having your basic needs met, then your motivation for growth is basically diminished. You don't have the motivation to want to do those things. But once you get to a comfortable state, then you're able to do the learning. So I'm realizing that this season of information that I'm sharing here with you all is a part of my school. It's a part of the learning. This is so if I can give my time to something else, then why can't I give my time to this, which involves me, right? And creating something of information, because what I'm learning here is I'm getting more in tune with myself through the process of this learning and the process of studying and researching this information. I'm studying me, really. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sharing that information that I'm coming up with to help in my growth, motivation, and elevation. But you can't go nowhere on an empty tank. So you got to be filled, but you have to also empty yourself to be filled, right? And that's a part of what this is. Given these this information and sharing this information like this is emptying out so I can be filled back, and what I notice is the information it's not a tag team of information. This information is just really truly aligning. And so one of the team members, one of the tribe members may say something, doesn't matter who it is, one of y'all could say something that could ignite thought, and that thought be developed into a creation of information to share based on growth and development, right? So Maslow saw human development as a journey from survival to self-realization. And so we talked about survival mode last week too, right? And the difference, well, the fact that there is a difference between survival and thriving. So when you're in survival mode, you're surviving through your basic needs, right? And so thriving is getting beyond the lack in your basic needs and continuing through growth and development. And so becoming the best version of yourself and living with purpose, creativity, and compassion. That's the goal. So, my final point is it all starts with you, to be a leader of self and be consciously aware of the pH balance. So, I put this scale up here because I just thought it was very interesting. I go to the water store and I buy my water, and the pH balance on the water is like 9.5 or something like that. And so that's the water that my body prefers now, is the alkaline water, because we want to pay attention to our pH balance. So I decide my vibe, I process the vibe, I reflect the vibe, I create the vibe, I become the vibe, and I am the expert of my vibrations. Christina Akshita Veda F. This is my point of view in the layers of vibration within self and conscious creation. And so this is the Thawalu tribe, the Messiah Code movement, right? And the Thawalu Corporation is the sponsor of this information. And we are everywhere you are. And the CEO is Domingo Rodriguez, which is Lazarus Lamel. There is a number if you have any questions about our tribe and what we do. We have an email account there and a website. And that website is thewaludatavision.org. And every morning, every early rise, happy new day comes on with Oracle Mother. And Tuesday, we have Tuesday night tea with Thea. And Thursday, we got the Purple Heart Squad, and which is amping up. And Friday night, we have me, Akshita V. With Together We Rise, right? And so this is Class Action 567. This is the Bloodless Revolution of the Matriarch. Rise, mothers. And so it is up to us to remember who we are. And as we remember who we are, that we're coming together in love and respect, and that we understand ourselves in mathematical terms of self. And we understand that conscious creation is putting outward what is inside of self to become the greatest version of ourselves. And I thank you all for joining tonight, for staying put even through all the technical difficulties. We have them, but guess what? I decide my vibe, and you can decide your vibe. And so in deciding your vibe, you can allow the situations that come against you, or whatever, however you want to see it, the interruptions, you can see it as an interruption, or you can see it as a divine interruption, in things. So whether you come now or later, just be sweet about it, and that's all we can ask. And so I'm thankful to be here, and I'm thankful to have this information, and to be able to share it here like this. So thank you, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. It has been my pleasure. Stay in peace, calm, and stillness.